What does the real estate industry teach you about life?
It teaches you about how to go get what you want. You got to take some risk in order to get rewards.
You see real estate industry less like a business and more like a craft.
What people think about real estate investors going after money and greedy and stuff, it's really not about that. It's really about people. It's about helping people. Buys a house and knowing they want to sell it for cheaper later.
What lessons do you learn from the financial crisis, the COVID thing? How do you see tariffs right now hitting hard?
Tariffs, personally, that really doesn't totally affect us. People will always buy houses. So any change in the market really doesn't affect us because the market changes, but it takes a year or so to really shift.
Is AI impacting the real estate industry?
The days of staying at one job for 30 years doing the same thing doesn't exist anymore. You got to keep bouncing around because things change.
Do you think politics and geopolitics impacts real estate industry? 3D printers are being used in real estate and it is cutting the cost as well as it is cutting the carbon emissions. Are you fascinated by that? Paul sir, welcome to Unicorn Talks.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you. You see, real estate industry is quite fascinating for me because it's capital intensive and it's brutal and it's
Yep.
very blunt. It is bold, and you have been in this industry for I guess more than 2 decades now, right?
Yeah. About
Okay.
24 years ago. Yeah.
So please tell me something. What does the real estate industry teach you about life?
What did it teach you about life? It teaches you about how to go get what you want, basically, and you work. And hard work is rewarded. And probably the bigger thing too is you got to take some risk in order to get reward. So you got to put, we put a lot of money out, and we got a lot of money back too. But it's you got to take that risk. You got to know that you'll be comfortable taking a risk, doing something, and it'll work out. And sometimes it doesn't, but it's a great learning lesson. And it really
Mhm.
teaches you to be an entrepreneur and understand how big businesses are made, created, and how these entrepreneurial people actually function.
Mhm.
With a lot of people that just I know a lot of friends that are just I call them kind of government workers. They just work 8 to 5 and they go home and they have a vacation and stuff. But it's to break beyond that and to have your own wealth and create everything on your own is a wonderful thing. That's really what real estate investing has really taught us is to do that. And there's definitely a point in my life that I realized that I can make money doing what I need to do. So I
Mhm.
can make money doing anything. I don't need a W-2 job.
Okay. I just went through your profile and you have done your education in geological science, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then construction materials testing and lot of stuff.
hmm
Please tell me something. What does it take to be in this industry for such a long period? And what's so special about real estate industry that keeps you doing something new in this industry?
Well, it's kind of real estate investing in general is kind of it's something that used to, and it's also something that's always different too. It's always changes, so it's never the same thing. You're not just making cups of coffee for people or something, where it's the same thing every day. I mean, real estate changes not only from what we buy, but also just the market changes. Every house we buy is different, so I guess there's kind of a little bit of a rush of buying a different house and seeing something different. And that's what's so intriguing to me is that it can always be, um, you can always find something to do with it and always find something new in it all the time, which means it kind of keeps it fresh and active for me.
I read something interesting about you. It is like you see real estate industry less like a business and more like a craft. Why is that so?
Oh, more like well, so real estate investing, it's always I've always had trouble with what people think about real estate investors and how we're all going after money and greedy and stuff. It's really not about that. It's really about people. It's about helping people. It's about understanding. Um, I think you've heard this before, but nobody buys a house knowing they want to sell it for cheaper later. If something changes in their life that they
Right.
have to sell this big asset, and
Hmm.
a house can be a big bonus for people, it can also be a big negative for people. So we kind of help bridge that gap, and it's really about helping people and creating a business around that too. But it's also doing the right thing.
Do you have any interesting story which always makes you smile that yeah, this was a great project and initially it was a headache, but later on it turned out to be one of your best projects or one of your what we say best memories where you can say yeah, this was the moment when I realized that yeah, this is the industry where I should be in and I'm in the right industry.
Um, there's many different stories. I mean, if I go early on, uh, buying bank owned houses, and I remember we bought one for made it into a rental, which is memorable too because it was kind of like the first one that we kind of bought, fixed up enough to rent, and really got into what renting is like and being our own landlord.
Mm-hmm.
I know another one that we ended up keeping as a rental as well. It was after I quit my W-2 job. We bought this house in Snohomish, Washington, and it was on a couple acres. It was an old dairy farm, basically. And
Oh.
it was a farmer's house, and it was completely in disrepair. I mean, it had no windows, and the roof was leaking. It was just had vines growing through it. So we actually cleaned it up and made it a rental,
Mm-hmm.
which we had for some time. It was fun. We did a lot of work there. It was just a memorable, good spot to go. And I had a big barns on the building, the property that I kept for myself, and the tenants got the house. And it was a good experience. Good part of town too. It was fun.
You've been in this industry for more than 2 decades and you have learned a lot of lessons. And you've been through great recession as well, like 2008 financial crisis. Then we had COVID, and now we are facing tariffs. What lessons do you learn from these incidents, like the financial crisis, the COVID thing, and how did you come up with the solutions? Like how you survived in this industry, and how do you see tariffs right now hitting hard for the US industry? Like every industry is being hit harder than ever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what's your take on that?
Well, my take on tariffs personally, that really doesn't totally affect us. I mean, the cost of everything's gone up anyway. I'm not really too worried about tariffs. The funny thing about the real estate market is people will always buy houses. Even in '08 and '09, people are still buying houses.
Okay.
So there's still there's still houses to fix up, and there's still things, and there's still money to be made in that in every market. It's just shifting and adapting to the market conditions at the time. So as long as people want to live in a house, we'll always have work, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's just not enough housing for people across this entire United States or probably across the world. So we there'll always be a need for what we do. What I'm getting at. And you just have to adapt to the market. And the other thing that we do is when we do rehab houses, we rehab them really quick. So we buy them in a time period and we sell them in the same short time period. So any change in the market really doesn't affect us because the market changes, but it takes a year or so to really shift, right? Really change. So we don't experience that much because we don't hold the houses long enough. So we bought it at a certain price and know what we can get for it. And we sell it, we get on the market in 4 to 6 weeks. The market hasn't changed enough that we're really down anything. But if you hold something for a long term and you have like a 2-year remodel or something, that's when you kind of get in trouble because what you thought it might be worth 2 years from now may not be the case. But for us, rehabbing pretty quick, we can mitigate that.
All right. So, I just want to get some insights about your approach on residential projects. You see, commercial projects are always viable and they are making good money, right? Every real estate agency is making great money in commercial space. Then why
Yeah.
didn't you choose to be in that industry as well, apart from being in the residential industry?
Well, so there's a couple things. Real estate investing, if you look at it as a whole, there's many different avenues to go down. Some people buy commercial, some people build storage units, they build new houses, sometimes people trade,
Hmm.
notes and leverage, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, we chose to stick with single family residences because it's what we know.
Hmm.
And the beauty of a single family residence is it'll always sell or rent because it goes back to people always need a house to live in. So commercial can be challenging because let's say you have a commercial building near a mall and the mall closes down. All of a sudden, your value devalues your building, right? It's a little harder to sell that. But if you have a single family house, somebody will always buy that. somebody needs a place to live. So whether you rent it out or resell it, for us, it's always just been tried and true, easy to liquidate. It's just there's some advantages to it. Plus, we know residential real estate really well, so I don't want to expand out too many different avenues and have so many different things that you don't know very well. What I'm getting at is if you spread yourself too thin, you don't do anything well. All right. But if we focus on one little section, we can do that really well. But if I was stretched out doing a whole bunch of different things, I may miss something on the residential side. But I'm too busy doing something else that doesn't apply to it. Some people can handle all that. I'm at the age where I'm fine doing with that.
So it's very clear to you, like you have a niche, you have a target audience. That's it. You don't want to just try something new just because it is quite lucrative.
Well, I'm not opposed to trying something new. It's just it's a time thing of whether I want to do it or not.
All right.
I mean,
So
it's just sometimes it's just there's a lot of things to learn on the
mhm.
commercial side and do, and it just hasn't interested me enough to really do it. I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but I'm just we're busy with what we got.
Okay.
We
Okay.
gotta be a little younger, I'd do more, but my age, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Uh, tell me something. A property which you hold, is it better to sell or is it better to put it on rent?
Um, well, it depends on your strategy and what you want to do. So if you make anything a rental, it's a longer term play. So you'll get monthly income on it, but it's just money kind of sitting there. So it does appreciate and it does pay you every month. But if you need money to actually survive and live and buy things we need, then when you buy them and if you flip the house and you sell it quickly, you get money back right away. So you're able to
Mm-hmm.
use that money to reinvest. So I look at holding a rental kind of like a 401k savings plan. It's there when you need it, but it's hard to get money out of it. If you needed money out of it and you get renters in there, it's kind of hard to sell a tenant in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get the tenant out, clean it up, put it on the market. It just takes longer. So it's really about that to me is like a savings plan. But if I need money to actually live and do, then I buy and rehab because I get money back faster. And I can return that money back into living expenses and business expenses and reinvest it back to find more houses. So it's really about people's goals and what they want. But for us, it's for living and for reinvesting, I basically rehab and sell quickly. I do hold some for rentals, but again, that's a savings plan for us.
It's kind of gig money where you just earn a little bit, but when you sell any property, it just allows you to tap into something new as well because it does not hold you back.
Exactly. I mean, it's a lot of money to spend out, but you get a lot of money back, but then you reinvest it into something. As
Mm-hmm.
opposed to a house that you rent, you put money into it and you get a little bit back per month over and over and over and over. But
Mm-hmm.
it's people's goals in life and where they want to be. And right now I'm okay taking money, reinvesting it and keep doing what we're doing. If I just want to retire and not do anything, then maybe just own a bunch of rentals and live off that. And that works too. Some people do that, but I'm not there yet.
Oh. So there's a conversation out there in the market that sustainable business and the changing environment, the climate change is pushing every industry to go green, right? And speaking from real estate industry perspective,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell me which kind of technology or which method of real estate redevelopment is helping you to cope up with the climate change as well and allow you to uh, make profits as well?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, the whole green thing in houses really hasn't affected us much. Besides, a lot of times, especially where we live, we put a lot of mini split heating and cooling systems in because here we need heat and AC because it gets hot here in summer, and that's a very efficient way to heat and cool a house as opposed to the old furnace and the old outside air conditioning unit. So that's something that we're doing. But in the green, climate change stuff really hasn't affected us too much because again, people need houses to live in, and so there's always so much we can do to make it energy efficient too. And since we rehab houses, we're dealing with older homes and not new construction. So there's only so much you can do to take a house and make it energy efficient as possible. The house was built in the 70s. It's got 2x4 walls. It just doesn't have the insulation that a new 2x6 house would have. It's just it never will because that wasn't built that way. So you do the best you can with what you're given. And that's that's just the way it is.
Okay, so what fascinates you about the real estate industry? Is it about just sheer big profits, or is it about making families' dreams come true?
Well, again, it goes back to the people. I mean, we don't really do this for big profits, and sometimes profits don't really exist. We do this to help out communities, to help out people with a new house, basically. And we're taking something. Most houses we get need some kind of work, and there's still a need for real estate investors to take something that's unlivable or out of date or just really bad shape and make it new again so somebody can live in it. Because people can't afford to buy a mortgage house and fix it up and live in it. Most people can't.
Hmm.
So we take something that is not livable and make it nice again. For somebody to start their their family, to start their memories over and stuff. And we take pride in what we do on that too. It's definitely a need for that. I think people for discount real estate investors saying, "Oh, we're ruining the market and we're making it hard to buy houses." But a lot of the houses we buy, people couldn't buy them. Banks wouldn't even lend on. I mean, they're bad shape, right? Who's going to take that, fix it up, put it back on the market? Well, we do, and of course they have to make a little bit of money doing that because we're not a for nonprofit. So
One thing which always keeps revolving in my head is about having a house in a big city versus having a house in a small town or outskirts of a big city, which is practically sensible for any middle class family from your perspective.
for families, yeah, it really depends on where you're living in the country. It seems like people. Um, there was a push many years ago that people are moving back into the cities, live close to amenities and stuff. And now I think the last few things I've read is that the millennials and stuff that are in their 30s now are starting to move back to the suburbs outside of the city because that's where they grew up. And once they start having kids and stuff, they kind of want to have the same experience that they had growing up. And a lot of times living inside a city may not fit that bill, so they actually end up moving back to suburbs, kind of where they grew up. So it seems like people move in the city, now they're kind of moving back out, especially now after COVID and things that you can, work remotely and things like that. People are starting to live
Correct.
out a little bit, and it's okay. So it really depends where you live. If you're up in the Seattle area, it's a little different than here in Boise. It's real small here anyway. So
Uh,
just depends on where you're at in the country. But it seems like more people are migrating out towards suburbs again.
so, do you see any great opportunity building up in the small towns or the outskirts of big cities?
As far as what more outskirts being more desirable or more built up.
More built up as well as more desirable, because you see, traveling from a small town or outskirts of a city to main downtown is quite easier nowadays. We have the better transport systems. We have own vehicles. So, do you think this is better for uh, real estate companies as well as for the families to get out of the city and live a better life, because we have some pressure on the resources of the city as well?
It just again depends on kind of where you live on that. I don't know all cities, but I've seen more people want to live kind of outside of the city than in. There's pros and cons either way.
Yeah.
So people have to choose what fits them the best. I think that affordability wise, right
Hmm.
now, the interest rate high, people are going outside of the city and they're going those smaller towns near it because they can afford a better house for a better price. As you get closer to the city, it's just more expensive. With higher interest rates, people can't afford to live in a little tiny condo in downtown, wherever. They just can't afford it. But
Yeah.
they can buy that same house, something the same price outside of town. It's actually got bedrooms and a yard and things like that. So
Hmm.
a little more appealing.
Because the data which we have currently, and even the economic conditions, the turmoil of the geopolitics, it is pushing a lot of companies and even the AI. The
Yeah.
AI integration is switching off a lot of jobs. We have seen layoffs in last 6 months. It's been huge. It's been huge. Is AI impacting the real estate industry?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question to figure out if it's impacting real estate. It is in many different ways, just like any other industry. Um, I don't know if it's I would assume that people are moving around the country a little bit more because of AI, because of job changes and things like that. Um, I don't really see it really changing our industry that much. It's just, I think it just shows that people are still moving around the country and moving in and out of cities and moving for jobs. I think it's more of an issue of um, people realizing that the days of staying at one job for 30 years doing the same thing doesn't exist anymore. You got to keep bouncing around because things change.
Exactly.
AI changes, layoffs happen, companies downsize, upsize. That's just the reality of life it is now. I
Okay.
don't think it's really affected our industry that much because again, it's just people. You just have to adapt to where people are moving and what kind of houses you get. And I'd like to see suburbs, smaller towns actually grow up more. I think there's a lot of unused real estate and really good places in this country that are just they're old towns that have dried up and kind of died. But I think it'd be nice to see them come back again too.
You operate in 5 to 6 states of USA, right?
So we operate in Boise, Idaho, and Seattle and Washington, Seattle area. But we are development agents for homevestors. So we onboard and train new franchises. And that is through Washington, Idaho, Montana, Utah, and Las Vegas, Nevada, too. We do travel between all the states, however, we live in Boise, Idaho.
As you have been operating in Nevada as well, I just want to ask you, California is one of the high cost state in US, right? I guess 1 or 2 years back, I read some articles which spoke about uh, the unaffordability of Silicon Valley. And due to that, lot of companies, lot of startups are shifting their base from California to Texas or any other state of US. So, do you think Nevada has the next big opportunity after California? Because as companies are shifting either way, Nevada is very near to them, and they have some sort of same like similar services and similar resources. So, do you think you have big opportunities over there?
I don't think Nevada is going to experience that. Nevada is not well populated either, and it's has a different government structure, and it's just a
Mm-hmm.
different thing than California. I think a lot of people are still moving to Nevada. Nevada's got lower taxes.
Yeah.
Uh, it's more of a better culture, I think, for businesses. However, a lot of it is desert, and there's a lot of parts of Nevada that are just unpopulated too. A lot of mining and stuff in middle and
Mm-hmm.
northern Nevada that kind of prevents businesses from really setting up shop there because there's not enough infrastructure to handle what they need.
Okay.
Typically, if you're a big business and you want to invest somewhere, you invest in a place that people want to live and that has the infrastructure, it has amenities, it has enough power, it has enough water, things that people need for industry. And Nevada, Las Vegas is Las Vegas, but there's Reno and there's a couple towns in between, but there's really not much else in Nevada.
Okay.
Oh, I don't see the Nevada being an issue. I see other states having that problem, but not that one.
Okay. I just had a conversation with my friend, and he just spoke about something like having own house is great, and living in a rental house is some different thing. But when it comes to, okay, let me frame it properly for you. Uh, Coming from a small town and living in a big city is quite challenging. And you see, the work is in the middle of the city, but the affordability is not. Affordability is a big challenge for him. So he always preferred living in a in the outskirts, which we had the conversation previous. So what's the trend in the US as per your experience? What people prefer and how the government is approaching the affordability of the house? Because in recent times we had a lot of political debates speaking about housing affordability. So is it helping agencies, uh, the local people, the buyers, home buyers, to have it easily, or is it still tax burden for a lot of people, and is it out of their pockets at the moment?
For what, tax purposes or what? I didn't understand the last part of the question.
Okay, so this question is about the affordability of house, like how people are being able to purchase their new house or
Yeah.
just get on rent, and as well as
Okay.
is the tax benefit a big thing for them as well as for the company.
Yeah, I mean, there's tax benefits for having a mortgage. I guess you can write it off, and I haven't had a mortgage in a long time, so I don't know. But it, there are some advantages of that. I think the affordability comes from the interest rates being high, and people's wages can't keep up with what interest rates, and then the housing markets have increased in value, so they can't afford these big payments to buy a house right now. And that's what happened. It was February 2022 when the interest rates started going up. And that's what kind of started the downfall of where we're at in the housing market and affordability. It just people just can't afford it. Their jobs weren't keeping up with the wage growth wasn't keeping up with what they need to own a house. So that's really what affordability went south. And luckily that's kind of changing now. It's starting the interest rates starting to go back down a little bit. So that helps.
The interest rates are being reduced, but is it really helping the real estate industry and the general public to afford a house?
It is helping. Yeah. I mean if you think about how much more they have to spend per month, it's just interest. Versus now, you can actually buy better, more house. You have more spending dollars basically.
How long will it take to get it into a proper flow of like, yeah, this is now affordable enough for people? So will it take 1 year, 2 year? What's your take on that?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm hoping that things are average out maybe at the end of this year. The next few years, things will kind of average out a little bit. I do feel it'll start to wage growth will increase enough, interest rates will decrease enough. Housing market hasn't increased a lot. It seems like most areas, some areas of house values have decreased a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
uh, averaged out. So that's good for buyers. But at the end of the day, as more people grow up and go through college and want to have families, they want to have houses. It's still an American dream. So
Yeah.
there's still not enough houses out there, and I don't think prices are going to drop on houses because there's still a big need for them. So people just they will start buying eventually. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll have to average out. People don't want to live in apartments forever.
There's a new technology, not very new, but yeah, there's a technology integration of uh, 3D printers. 3D printers are being used in real estate for a period now, and it is cutting the cost as well as it is cutting the carbon emissions. Are you fascinated by that technology or the similar technology which is being introduced in the real estate, which is helping to faster, like increase the pace of construction?
Um, I'm not too interested in that. I think generally the one of the big holdups in construction is the permitting process and approvals.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. And the high cost of permits, and a lot of some of these cities and counties that claim that unaffordability for housing. Well, some of the permit fees are $70,000-$100,000 to build a house, and they wonder who pays for that in the end. It's the consumer, and it takes. I know certain areas of Washington State it could take you 18 months to get a permit just to build. See, all this time sitting there, and it's like you wonder, if that was faster. It doesn't matter how you build. I mean, you can build a house in 6 to 9 months from start to finish, but you can't even get the approval to do that. And so it sits there, and sometimes you can't get the approval to tear the existing house down. You gotta get, approval for this. You gotta put in this. You gotta improve the sidewalk. It's just so much red tape that it's hard. That's where a lot of the affordability from. Um, Real estate in general and housing comes from. It's just the government regulations that makes it
Mm-hmm.
so hard to build and do things. I get there should be some regulations not to just put houses everywhere, but there's got to be some expeditious process to make this happen. There's been a lot of disasters around the country that people have not had the chance to even rebuild, like the fires in LA and in California. They haven't even rebuilt yet. There's still permits. It's ridiculous. It's a waste. So
Okay.
that contributes to a lot of affordability and housing prices being high because if you're a developer and want to build 100 new houses, it takes 2 years to get permits.
2 years.
It can depends on where you're at. Sometimes it's fast. It all depends on where you're at in the country. Some jurisdictions are happy and ready to be quick, and some aren't. So public comments and this and wastewater stuff, and it's just so much red tape.
But that takes a if it is if the permissions are taking That much of time, like 1 year, even 6 months of tenure is a long tenure in the real estate industry, right?
It's a long time, but there's also sometimes if you're in Washington State, there's studies. If you're around a wetland or something, you need a wetland study. So then you got to
Mhm.
hire somebody to do that, and that takes a month or so to do. And then you got to submit it, and then they want something else done. It's just a lot of back and forth, paying a lot of consultants to do stuff, and then you wonder why housing prices are so high. That's
Wow.
why, because they require so much stuff. At the end of the day, I mean, we all know what 2x4s and 2x6 costs and roof costs, and we have all
Hmm.
that down. The other costs in between, all of improvements, and this county wants you to increase the water line for the whole area and stuff like that. It gets expensive.
Okay,
I get
so
why it's there, but there has to be some balance. And I think the current administration is talking about streamlining permits and stuff to make it easier to build and and just make it faster.
but how do you think, like, will it be faster? Will they be able to implement this bill faster enough?
I don't know. Hopefully, I can't. I can't guess on that. So hopefully, it'd be nice.
Do you think politics and geopolitics uh, impacts real estate industry at first?
Well, it does impact us for sure, right? In real estate industry, it does impact all that stuff impacts us in many different ways. So real estate industry is a kind of complicated thing. There's lots of different avenues. And I look at it as like if you have a river, a stream or something, and you change one part of that, it changes something down further down the stream, right? But if you dam it up or you narrow it, you change the speed of the water, it'll wash something out further down. It changes it. The same thing in the real estate industry. You change one little component, it kind of changes something else further down. It's not just an easy solution for anything. So any kind of politics to go in there and change like a rent control or something in a city, it usually has the opposite effect than what they intended because they messed with something. So to me, when the government messes with something that's so big and so vast and kind of its own dynamic thing, it changes another component of it, and they don't really realize that sometimes. So if you take rent control in a city and you say, well, you can only charge X amount of dollars for something, well, it'll change something else. People will sell a lot of rentals, so which means there's less of them, so the prices will naturally go up. So they're trying to prevent that, but
Hmm.
yet it's the opposite effect. So there's many things that politics can get involved and things like that can get involved and really mess things up and make and change it. So that's why we have to adapt and overcome all that stuff.
So you believe it is highly impacted by politics and geopolitics, but it is one of the resilient industry which is which just keep going on.
As long as we all live in houses, right? I guess if they can make a device that we live outside for under nothing, that'd be one thing. But everyone needs a house, right? It's still in America, you have a house, it's still a place to sleep at night. So it's still needed. It's not going away. I mean, we have more people in the country than normal. I mean, we're still expanding, so people need to live somewhere.
How can we have an affordable house in smaller states or let's say developing states or let's say the region which where you are operating at the moment? What's the best cost for one small house where a family can fit in? What's the bare minimum cost for that?
Oh, the bare minimum cost here in Idaho?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of depends on where you want to live. You can still get houses in the upper 200s here,
Hmm.
300,000, something like that. You get new construction 350,000. That's outside of Boise a little bit, but it is still a new house. I mean, of course, you go closer to the city, it gets more expensive.
Okay. And if we talk about Washington, what's the rate over there?
Well, in the Seattle area, I mean, you gotta at least spend 500,000 or 500,000 to buy a house that's decent to live in if you're around Seattle.
Okay.
If you go outside and you go further down south, more towards Chehalis and stuff, you can still get 300,000 houses, but that area is constrained by a lot of traffic. So if you commuted to Seattle, it would be a very long day every day. So you got
Okay.
to decide what you want to do, what people want to do, right?
Right. What's your message or your tip for the new or the let's say upcoming generation to get into real estate industry? What should they look out for? Should they look out for problem solving, or should they look out for something else which connects human with nature or something like that?
Well, I think that, for if you're talking about what real estate and somebody like a new real estate investor wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is I see a lot of people, like I think we talked about this earlier, they just don't take the risk. They want everything so protected and so all risk averse, but you have to spend some money and you got to get out there and do it, right? Sometimes the best education is the one that you go out and do. It doesn't mean you should buy everything and think you can make money and everything, but you have to take the risk. I just talked to a guy last night that wants
Mm-hmm.
to do this. He's so worried about the costs and the trying to find the cheapest interest rate to invest and stuff. And it's like you're kind of missing the point. You spend all your time focusing on your trying to find the lowest interest rate when you can buy something with a hard money loan that costs more per month. But you could do a deal, have it sold, and make money by the time you're trying to find a lower interest rate just to save end of the day $3,000 or so. It's just ridiculous. So people need to get out there, and if there's something they want to do, they need to learn from the right people and make the right choice and get out there and do it. Reach out to people like us and Taste and I and help out. We onboard and train new people all the time. So
Okay, just one last question from my side. Uh, you're a proper family man, and you have a leadership trait as well. So please tell me what a real estate leader should look like. I'm talking about a leader who is visionary enough to not just make profits but also have the empathy
yeah,
regarding the walls, the home which they are constructing. So how should a leader should think?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just doing the right thing, right? I mean, it's about taking care of people and doing the right thing for people. And we always put people before profits as much as possible. I mean, when we buy a house, we're respectful of the people that they have a place to go, and we make them the fair offer, and we make sure they understand what's happening. And then when we rehab a house, we try to do the best we can in the house to make it the best possible product for someone to move into. We can't eliminate all the problems. We can't foreshadow things that happen after people buy it, but we do the best we can. That's what we're given. So being a leader is really about doing the right thing and also propping people up that we work with to be better. And we're working new investors all the time, and we help. We want to see them successful through the process. And we get success when we see people successful that actually do this full time and maybe quit a W-2 job and do real estate investing full time. We can continue on helping people. We like that. It's really good for us to see that.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
sir, for your time and this quick conversation.